All right, I'd like to, it's a little past 7, I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. I think that, well, I know, I'm going to change the order on the agenda a little bit because of the importance of a decision that was recently made in executive session, and that is the appointment of a new principal for the high school. After a lot of consideration by the superintendent, as well as members of different boards, teachers, community members, a decision was made at that meeting as to who we will be nominating for the principal of the high school. So anybody that was at the meeting, Fran, would you like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion that we appoint Glenda Presto, okay, for the new principal at the high school.
Do we have a second to that?
I'll second it.
I'm not going to go into a lot of discussion right now because I'm going to ask the superintendent to explain in some detail how this decision was made and the reasons that it was made. So we'll ask for a vote, and then I'll ask the superintendent to expand a little bit on why the decision was made as it was. All those in favor of the motion that was made by Mr. Kenny?
Thank you.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Very good. Okay, Jim.
First, we had 2 excellent finalists as candidates, and Glenda has experience as a principal as well as a vice principal. She has a master's degree from Harvard University in educational leadership. She has extensive training and has worked at an institute for the induction of new teachers and new teacher training. She has a diverse background in educational rounds, which is a program in which the educational leader of the building is, think of it as medical rounds, as a doctor would be in a hospital, but it's the principal being trained in how to do daily observations of classroom and teacher performance, and that is what really makes Glenda a unique candidate for this position. We will bring her before the board at a future meeting soon to have her introduce herself and speak to what qualities she's going to bring. Length of contract and all that will be subject to negotiation, and what goals that, with input from this board, I will set for her and that will be used in her evaluation is what we'll be seeking input from all of you from.
Very good. Again, I'd like to emphasize what Jim has just said, that in the near future, we will be holding an open meeting for those people that are interested in meeting the new principal, give her an opportunity to speak to different groups and outline for her in terms of the board what some of our expectations are, and hopefully learn from her what are her feelings about what she's learned about the school so far. So with that said, I think we'll move on, and if there are any other questions, I would entertain them. Okay, we can move on, public comments. We can move on then to treasurer's report. We needed a motion to accept it.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. The next item C on the agenda is a transfer, simply transferring money from one category to another. It's not increasing the amount of money, it's just transferring it because that money is being used for a purpose that is not necessarily in the position it is now. We've done this before. So this would be for C, it's a position transfer, move code 171 from English to math science. This has to do with the proposal by the principal for the hiring of a math physics teacher at the high school. And in order to do that, we have to change the category into which this individual falls. We'll be approving, hopefully, we'll be approving that position in part of the consent agenda under nominations. So I need a motion just
So
to make
moved.
that.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor? Yes.
Just
Yeah,
so I understand, why do we have to transfer the money from one code to the other?
My understanding, you're going to have one less English teacher and one additional math
Okay,
teacher.
that's what I
Yeah.
didn't understand.
and it just is to keep things so that when we take a look at the budget for the next year, we've got an indication as to what we're spending in what categories.
Okay.
If we don't do
Nope.
that, then it all gets messed up. Joy, do you have any comments on that?
No, just to support that this was discussed during budget time, and this is the
Right.
action that was, yes, is happening as a result.
So we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. We can move on now then to the consent agenda. I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I'd like to just go over to the nomination form, and Leon is getting it for me here. We have,
Oh, you want to see that?
I just want to see the people. If you don't have it, does everybody have it on their laptop or something? We have a number of people that are being hired. Maybe we should start off with Tim for the middle school.
He's Stevens.
Karnak?
Yeah, Stevens. Oh,
So what do we do?
Just asking Tim to state who he's hiring for the middle school.
Yeah, it's,
Math teacher?
I'm recommending Stephen Carknard for a math position at the middle school.
Very good. Does anybody have any questions on that? Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I missed that. Okay, we can go on then to the high school. Kathleen Gleason.
There's three candidates. One is Caitlin Gleason. She already works for us in a different position. She's a certified English teacher, and she's moving into one of the retirees' positions. The next person, letter C, Megan, works for us also. She was under Title I last year, and she's moving to MAU, so that's really just a change in funding also. And finally, the last one is the one we spoke about, who is a licensed math and physics teacher.
I'd like to just to mention to the board that we've been fortunate to have somebody who has been substituting, is that a proper word?
Yeah.
For the physics position, since the person that had taught it in the past has left us. And we've needed to have somebody certified and being able to teach advanced physics and
Like AP physics. we're
AP
hoping.
physics, and we haven't had, and Sue can testify to this, that is extremely difficult position to fill, and I know that Sue feels very fortunate to have a well-qualified candidate. Are there any questions on any of those individuals? Any questions on any part of the consent agenda? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Okay, we can move on to personnel. Approval of the land steward position. Tim, do you want to speak to that at all? You did last time, but we'll give you that chance.
Sure. So this is, hopefully folks have the attachment, working with Joy in HR and Mr. Pembroke in the finance office. What we are proposing is a creating of a part-time position to maintain or to plan, coordinate and maintain the garden here at the middle school, including the greenhouse and the outdoor classroom. This resource has basically grown over the last 5 years to a point where we cannot rely on volunteers and student work in order to maintain it, especially during the summer hours. So working closely with the agricultural committee, we have organized our budget lines for the 15-16 school year so that it would support a salary, which is at the bottom of the attachment folks may not have received. That's one request, and the second request is to use the balance of the money in the current school year, the 14-15 school year, to hire that person starting at the beginning of May in anticipation for the growing season this year. We've gone through both human resources and the finance department to make sure that we can cover both salary and the FICA commitments that we would make with that.
Very good. The board has received a financial statement from the business office verifying that. So I'd like to accept the motion for that position.
Move we accept.
Have a second?
Second.
Do we have any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The next motion that we're going to vote on is one that the administration, particularly the Human Resource Department and the Finance Department, have been concerned for a long time about the variation in compensation packages that are offered to our non-contracted employees, those people that aren't part of a union. And we're trying to get that stabilized so that there is more consistency and it's fair for the individuals who fall under that general contract. And through those people that involved in those departments, I have a motion that I'm going to read and ask for your approval of it. Beginning July 1st, 2015, the board agrees that eligible employees not subject to a collective bargaining agreement will be offered benefits from a standardized by employee classification. Detailed information regarding benefits, offerings, and eligibility criteria will still be published in the employee handbook of the Southwestern Vermont Supervisory Union and its member districts. That's the motion.
So move.
Do we have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Okay, we can move on then to the administrator's report. Sue?
You guys help pass. So we have actually 3 events we're going to talk about. But this past week we had our annual college fair, and I'm passing out a small packet. We had over 100 colleges attend at our school, as well as we invited 15 other high schools from the area, and several high schools attended in the area. What you see in the packet is the list of all the colleges that were at our school this week, as well, or this was last week, as well as some of the information we give out to help students kind of navigate what they're going to be talking to the colleges about and what's important and how we try to help them out with that. The second event that happens simultaneously on the same day is the Bennington County Transition Fair. And this is more it's more community and workplace information. And we had about 30 Bennington County agencies there and trying to help students, especially for students staying in the area after graduation, how to access these different services. So it was very well attended. I want to especially thank Lisa Harrington-Redding, one of our school counselors, who kind of puts all this together, and Janet Palmer, who's one of our special educators that puts the transition fair together with a group. I'm hoping it gets in the banner. We did take pictures and have fun working on that part. And now for Morgan.
Okay, so first thing, this is Isaac. He's going to be taking over for me next year as the student representative.
Does he have a last name?
Yeah, Isaac
No.
Salem. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're involved in at the high school?
Sure. I'm Isaac Salem. I'm a junior at the high school. I'm part of 3 sporting clubs. I play soccer, I ski, and I play golf. I'm also Morgan and I are part of the National Honor Society, which is how I'm going to be affiliated next year. So.
And then the other thing I have to talk about tonight is the Model United Nations, which took place at the high school last week. It was all day on Monday and the first half of the day on Wednesday. And students from a variety of different classes come together to participate, and they write bills to kind of mock what would happen in the real United Nations, and then the bills are debated with the classmates, and each student is given a country, and they debate the bills like they would if they were in the real United Nations. And then on Wednesday, the best bill from each committee is put up on the screen in the auditorium, and the entire group of students come together to debate them again if they were passed on Monday. So that happened, and it was really successful, and everyone who participated did a really good job. I was one of the chairs for one of the committees, so I got to watch all of the students that participated and help them make decisions on what they were going to say on the bills, and it went really well, and everyone did a really great job. So that's all.
Sue, I have a question for you. What do we do about students that are looking for ways to get financial aid to go to college?
We have financial aid evenings.
You do, okay.
Oh, yeah. We have several of those throughout the, especially in the earlier part of the year. I don't know if you guys have.
I went to a couple of them.
Yep.
Okay. So are there counselors there that will help students apply? I mean, take a look at their particular situation and say, this
Sure,
is the type of a program that you might want to consider.
And scholarships and grants, and, I mean, maybe Morgan, who's just gone through this, can
Yeah, I just
speak to that a little, but yes.
Yeah, the counselors are all really available if you have questions to about financial aid or anything. And the scholarship board is updated frequently with new scholarships, and emails go out to the entire senior class when new scholarships are added to the board, so everyone's really aware of the scholarships that they have the opportunity to apply for.
So that was my next question. Are students really aware that that service is available and take advantage of it?
Definitely.
Good.
Yeah. And we have that all on a program called Naviance
Yep.
that all families are set up on. So
Right.
it's like continuous, it's coming all the time.
Right. And one last thing, Sue, I know that you've done this in the past, and I'm sure you will again. It would be interesting to the board to find out where the students have been accepted when.
Yeah, I did that this past fall, but I'll do, accepted, yes. I will have
Accepted,
that.
not now where they were
Not
just.
till May or June.
Okay, yeah, when we finally got, don't they start getting acceptances
Yeah,
pretty soon now?
Yeah, they're here in summer making decisions.
Yeah,
Morgan's
I've received all of
deciding.
my acceptance letters so far. I just haven't made my decision yet.
All of your acceptance, I'm
Yeah,
impressed.
I applied to a lot of schools.
Well, good for you. Yeah,
I think I might have asked this question last time, and I see all of this. And my question last time was that we have all of this, and what I wanted to make sure is that none of the juniors or seniors fail through the crack by not taking part in this. I mean, it's everything is spelled out and say it's available and tell them where to go and what to do and how to do it is just great. But are they taking advantage of it is what I was saying
I mean, it's packed
here.
down there, and adults bring them down, teachers bring them down, counselors bring them down.
So I didn't know whether we was keeping track and said 100% of all the people that we have in here, whether it's technical education, whether they're somewhere,
Yeah.
or whether they wanted to be their entrepreneur or whatever, had an opportunity to meet with somebody
Yep,
and be recorded as having participated into the fair as well.
yep.
Okay.
okay, Sue.
One-
Yes.
Did all of these institutions actually come
Yeah.
here? Is that?
Yes, they were all here.
Impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many is that? I didn't add them
It's
up.
about 100.
It's good.
It was packed.
That's great. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to Tim.
I just have two items for the community. I want to congratulate 7th grader Ricardo Mook. He is a member of White Rock's team here at the middle school. He was the winner of this year's middle school GOB, and as a result, he was able to compete at the statewide competition. It is the third year in a row that he has been a participant at the state level, so he's a very accomplished participant. Did a nice job. The competition at the state level was at Middlebury this year on March the 27th. He did a nice job, and I just want to publicly thank him for representing the school at the state competition. He's a nice young man, and we anticipate him and others coming back next year to compete again. He's only a 7th grader, so he has another year of eligibility. And then just as a note to the board and for folks who are planning their calendars, spring will come. I've been told this, but folks may notice that the greenhouse is not yet completed at the front of the property. We're waiting. It's been framed, it's been leveled. waiting to put a top on it, and then doing some landscaping. The outdoor classroom has actually been constructed, but the surrounding landscaping has not been done yet either. So we're waiting for the dry season to follow the mud season. I'm just telling this because we anticipate holding a opening ceremony or a dedication of some sort in May. And so when we come back, probably before the next time this board meets, we'll be doing that. We'll send out invitations to the appropriate folks and welcome the public to attend that.
Very good. Sue, I forgot to ask you, would you get, or maybe the central office, somebody so that the board is aware of when the different graduation ceremony?
I'll bring that next.
That would be next time. If anybody scheduled would like to take a look at it, I think graduation is the 10th?
12th? 12th.
12th, and then
12th.
Students get,
Awards night is the Wednesday before.
okay. So anyway, that information will
Yeah,
get
I'll
out.
have it all written.
Okay, that would be good. Anything else, Tim?
I'm all set, thank you.
Yes, Fran?
I'm looking at this college list, and I don't see Bennington College on there. Is there a reason for that?
No, they might have been invited and they couldn't come, or they just chose not to.
All right,
I'm
okay.
sure they were invited.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Student representative, do you have anything else you'd like to?
I'm all set.
Okay,
Thanks.
very good. All right, superintendent's report, do you have more?
Not much this evening. Most of it dealt with what preparation for the selection of the principal, but I do want to mention a couple things of what the legislative action that's going on that you might be aware of for your own organization. But last Thursday, April 2nd, the House did vote and on House Bill 361, which is the Comprehensive Education Reform Bill. And there's a couple of things that you might want to be aware of. First is, small school grants, doesn't really affect Woodford, become merger support grants, which really districts eligible for the small school grants must vote by, if this continues to pass, must vote by November 30th, 2017 to form either a joint contract school, a RED, or an integrated education system, and then that money would be used for the costs for that. That is a very big change. Hold harmless provisions, which does not affect us because our student numbers are not dropping, but those would also be transitioned into something based more on the equalized number of students with a reduction eventually to those students. That what the hold harmless was to school districts that were losing population. The state was actually making money based on what the last student count was, even though it didn't drop. So it was, some would argue, artificially propping up schools that were declining enrollment. But what's really, the bill states that the district, they want, it recognizes that the best form, this is their opinion, of school governance is, the bill states that the preferred structure for an integrated education system shall be a supervisory district that is responsible for the education of all resident pre-K through 12 students. But the bill also recognizes, and this sounds contradictory, the bill also recognizes that a supervisory district may not be the best means of achieving the goals. So districts may propose the creation, expansion, or continuation of a supervisory union, but you're going to need state approval for that proposal. And so districts are required, if this goes through, to meet with one or more districts, and we meet, our total supervisory numbers do meet exceed the number of the target, which is 1,100 students under this bill. In short, the proposal is what you've heard talked about before in a RED, and we all have different opinions on this. So I mentioned this to you. If you feel strongly in one way or the other, you need to let your representatives know now. But what this would do is effectively make the supervisory union into a supervisory district. That's the direction it's going to go. Now, this still has to go through the Senate, and then there'll be conference and joint meeting, joint bill coming out of that, which we're indicated will be the last 3 weeks of the session, so into the beginning of May before any of that becomes a vote. But it is a very radical proposal from from what we've seen in the past. And the other House bill that you should be aware of, and if you have an opinion on it, is House Bill 76. That bill is one that would prohibit teacher strikes and would also prohibit the imposition of contracts. So it would limit the school board's ability to impose contracts when an impasse reaches, and it would prohibit teachers from striking. And it would prohibit strikes and the imposition of any contracts, but then remand that the issue would have to go back to negotiations. As currently proposed, it's without binding arbitration until a successful conclusion. One version had binding arbitration, which would be something that school boards would, I would imagine, would be very opposed to. So very active House as far as education reform, with potential impact to all school districts and supervisories in Vermont.
We just add one thing to it. There also is legislation being proposed in putting a cap on spending.
That is part of that House bill, sorry, Chip. Yeah.
But if it is, it would affect us and what we're able to do. Right now, I'm not going to go into the details because it is complicated and it may all change by the time the Senate gets a chance to look at it. But they're talking maybe 2.95%, I think that was about right. That would be your increase that you would be allowed before you got penalties. But anyway, it's just another one of the bills that is going through the legislature, and we'll wait and see how it all comes out. Joe?
Keep you informed. I'm sorry that I left that part out. It's just, there's been so many variations of this bill already that I left out that part.
Yeah.
Any question over here?
Wouldn't there be a penalty if we went over that cap though?
Yes.
And how much would that cost?
Well, we don't know, because that hasn't been established, and we don't even know how that cap, in other words, it hasn't really been firmly determined how they would get the basis for that cap. Whether it would be, people used to think it would be a cost per student, then it would be something called educational spending, which nobody seems to be able to define.
What concerns me with that, and they usually tell you after a couple of years, let's say they've given you grant money for these programs, then they take it away. Now we're $1 million in the hole. Now we're over the cap. What's the penalty? Sure. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's
sure. So we have to keep it, and I'm sure that the administration will let us know as to what effect it is and what we have to do. But it is something that is in the works. I think that the legislature has found a lot of pressure on school taxes, on the amount that the state spends on education in terms of, per student cost compared with other people, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of effort that is being made in the legislature to formulate legislation that would control costs. I think that's about right, isn't it, Jim? Speak out of turn here.
No.
Okay.
But as you said, we'll continue to monitor it. No, it's anyone's guess at this point what really is going to come out of the funnel.
Okay. Okay, we're down to the chair's report, and our next meeting will be May 20th. May 20th. And that should do it. Any questions of me? If not, we'll go down to policy. Leon?
Policy is search and seizure. Policy 5085 is back for adoption. So,
I'll move it out. Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on that? We've had that before us in the past. Either of the administrators want to, school principals want to speak to it? Comfortable with it? Oh, that's
Aides are rep,
good.
right?
yes, you are.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, get a date on that now, Leon?
It'll go down as tonight from Mount Anthony in the minutes.
I know that Dave had something he wanted to bring up. Dave?
We've talked about sending out letters of recognition or congratulatory letters, basically telling teachers, we know you're out there, we appreciate your efforts. I was thinking maybe Lucy with the Interact Club and that trip that you folks took, Caswell and the Model UN, and Legacy with the continued excellence in his program.
Would you like that to come from the board? The superintendent put that together on behalf of the board and letters go to them? Is that what you're thinking, Dave?
Awesome.
Don't ask Rob. In the past, what we've done, they've come from the clerk, and I know that, yeah.
All right.
You know, not to
No,
put more on him, but I think that it's the board's recognition of these accomplishments.
I'm more than glad to let Rob write the letter. Let me know if you need any help.
Did we have Scott's name before?
I did.
Yeah, I thought we just sent him something.
I thought that was last year,
Oh, was it last year? Time goes by.
when you're having fun.
Some days. All right. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Fran?
Second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.